Welcome back to ATL Day Ones. I am Tanitra Batiste. That's Jarvis Davis. We appreciate you guys coming back to join us. And we also appreciate you rocking with our entire Locked On Sports Atlanta family. Check us out on YouTube and also any and all audio platforms. And when you do check us out on YouTube, make sure that you like our page, make sure you follow us and subscribe to our page. We got some great things going on within this Locked On Sports Atlanta network. Now, we're going to talk a little Hawks because the Hawks have a big game tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about that matchup in Toronto against the Raptors. But before we talk about that, we've got to talk about being healthy. And last night tested me, Jarvis. Last night really tested me, that North Carolina Kansas game, just in terms of wanting to eat a snack that I shouldn't have eaten.
Right.
Yes. And so, those tense moments you tend to kind of like want to eat and munch. But what I encourage you guys to do is when that happens and you want to get that bad snack, get the good snack, get the Built Bar, because that feels like something that is good for you, but also good tasting. Have you tried the puffs? Told you guys that it's protein infused. It's a protein infused marshmallow, 100% real chocolate. So if you are a chocolate fan, this can even help you to be in stressful moments and not be stressed out completely without at least enjoying yourself with what you're eating. There are some other fan favorites, including the cinnamony churro, if you will, the coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. And again, these bars, Built bars, are covered in 100% real chocolate, but still low calorie, high protein. So you can replace that candy bar. Even when your team stresses you out, you can replace that candy bar with the Built Bar. So go to built.com, scroll down to the macros chart. It'll tell you everything, like just 4 grams of sugar in a bar, 17 grams of protein, and only about 240 calories in each bar. I think that is a good look for you. And where do you want to go and take advantage of this offer? Built.com. Use promo code LOCKED15. Get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCKED15 for that 15% off at Built.com. Now, look, Jarvis and I are hoping that tonight all we have to do is eat a Built bar, right? Because we're hoping this is going to be a good look and that we don't go to our bad habits and go and eat a candy bar because the Hawks have stressed us out. But they
or some wings, you know how I get down.
Yeah, exactly. But they've been looking really good of late. They've been looking like, as we love to call them, playoff Hawks. And so that's exciting individually and collectively. And they met their match, right? Because there are a couple of matchups that we've seen in the Eastern Conference this year that have given them some trouble. The Nets being one of them, and they got over that hump on Saturday night in fine fashion. The Raptors being another, giving them matchup nightmares. So going into this game, especially with this game being in Toronto, and thankfully they have had a couple of days off to just kind of refresh, if you will. But it's a critical game, Jarvis, because we're looking to see what they're going to show us tonight that tells us if they can hold on at least to that 8th spot in the play-in round and potentially host a game. What is that going to tell us about their ability, tonight's game, about their ability to move from just play-in, but winning the play-in and actually getting into the playoffs?
You know what? I think the main thing for me is with John Collins being out, that's some of the things I wonder, like, at what point, as they come down towards the end of the season and the play-in round begins, it like who's going to be that guy to be the second scorer? Because we all know what Trae Young can do, and we talked about on yesterday's show as far as how he has that confidence and he's starting to build up that trust with his teammates, and his teammates have come through for him. And I think that's one of the reasons why they've been on this win streak.
Yes.
Coming into tonight's game against the Raptors. So there is that's one factor. And then I think that the first name that came to mind when I started thinking about who can be that second scorer consistently was Bogdanovich.
Yes.
But I don't know if that could be the guy, because he's a guy that comes off the bench.
Yes.
Is that because it's kind of unorthodox, so to speak? But I think it's like a guy like Lou Williams in his younger days. he was those guys on the team that he played on because he was winning the multiple Six-Man-of-the-Year
Yes.
awards, and
Yes.
his numbers were up there with starting type
Hmm.
numbers. So maybe that's the model or
Yes.
that can help the Hawks going forward. But I think that Bogdan, a second score is what I'm looking for. That
Hmm.
consistent scoring. Another guy that I thought about was DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre
Hmm.
Hunter's been playing solid as of late. He's playing with more confidence, putting the ball
Yeah.
on the floor. Um, and I think that when I was watching the television broadcast and Vince Carter was doing the game, I absolutely love
Oh, Vince is
when
amazing.
he
Yeah,
does
Vince is
games
amazing.
because
Yeah.
I just feel like I just learned something
Yes, the insight.
when he does those games. I just like, okay, cool. This is my guy. I love Vince. Nothing against Neat, but I love when Vince gets on the broadcast because he points out a lot of things that I'm like, oh, I never thought about that, and
Hmm.
it makes sense. You're not
Yes.
talking over my head as well, so I
Right.
think that for him to point out, DeAndre Hunter being aggressive,
Yes.
being the
Yes.
guy to put his head down and go to the
Yes. And
basket.
go to the rack. Yes.
Yes, and get to the free throw line too,
Hmm.
because those are the easy points. Because
Yes.
if you have to go one on one with the basketball in your hands,
Hmm.
every time ISO to try to score, like that
Right.
can wear on you in
Hmm.
those, especially in those big games. So I
Yeah.
think that with the way Hunter has been playing,
Hmm.
and of course with way Bo been playing, he's been just lights out. I think those are the two couple of factors that I think that I'm going to be looking for tonight that kind of help figure out whether or not these guys can get this thing done once it gets going.
And for me, it's more about it's the committee.
Yeah.
So I don't really care who the second scorer is, just be a second scorer.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's how, because that's the formula that worked for them last year. Now, granted, Bogdanovich was a starter, but the formula last year was on any given day, the secondary scorer could be anybody. Because I will tell you, when we were watching game 7, Sixers, literally it was like, who's going to show up and be that person if the Hawks have a chance? And when you get Kevin Herter started early, when you get him going early, oh, that's an assassin right there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he literally smoked them all by himself pretty much in that
Smoke them
game.
fools.
Oh yeah, he smoked them bros. Like, I mean, he went Kayvon and Red Velvet all at the same
All
time
at the
on that
same
one. Yeah,
time.
but when he goes Kayvon, when he goes Red Velvet, then that's a good look. If he's not hitting like he wasn't hitting Saturday, his defense was solid because they put him on Kyrie a couple times. And they put him on Kyrie a few times, and it doesn't show up in the stat line, but he affected his shot. He
Yeah.
affected his shot. And when you have someone that prolific in the backcourt, then at least at a minimum make him work for the shots. And
Yeah.
sometimes even affect him to the point where he's going to miss shots, which he did a couple of times. So if it's Kevin Herter, that's fine with me. If it's Bogey, that's fine with me. I really love what you said too. If it's DeAndre, that makes me really happy because that means DeAndre is giving us two-way play. So if we can get multiple two-way players, Clint, Onyeka, to some degree, Danilo Gallinari,
Oh,
as
yeah.
well as DeAndre,
Just
and
try that.
Delon Wright. Yes. If we start getting 4 and 5 players to buy in to two-way play, then any of them can be the secondary starter or the secondary scorer on any given night. And I think there's something else you mentioned as well. I'm seeing them be more aggressive and not just settling for the three, and not just settling also for that three ball early in the shot clock. I'm seeing them really distribute the ball. That's how you're getting that balanced scoring. It's like every night the stat line is almost like 28 or 30 assists for like 49 or 50 shots. That's the thing. That's what you want to really see, because that tells me that, like you said, Trae is confident and he trusts his teammates, and they are actually, it's paying dividends. They're actually showing that, hey, you give me the ball, you get the ball in my hands when you're trapped or when your shot isn't falling, and we're able to deliver. Also, it's the aggressiveness that we're seeing with them going to the basket. I mean, when I'm
Yes.
seeing Gallo slam, that makes my heart happy. When I'm seeing Clint Capella not miss the point blank shots because he is focused on going to the rack, and I mean slamming and making sure you feel him. Oh, I'm happy. And that's what they're going to need to do, by the way, tonight in order to really keep Pascal Siakam in check. And OG Anunoby is questionable right now, but there's a good
Mhm.
chance that he might play. And those two bigs have really, really given the Hawks some fits. But if the Hawks can get this win tonight, Jarvis, I think we have every reason to be confident that they will play themselves in that play-in game right into the playoffs. Now, speaking of us looking at what do we need to see in order to be confident about the Hawks, well, the last few days, people have been looking to see what they need to see to be confident about someone who's not far down the road from us on Interstate 20. So we'll talk about it in For the Culture when we come back.